Hello, friends. Welcome to the Motivation Broadcast. This is part two of Yahuwah Does Not Hear a Sinner's Prayer. Now, I want to start out this week by picking up where I left off. I made a statement in the first part that if you are a person, someone that is practicing a lifestyle full of iniquity and full of sin, and at the same time claiming to be a child of Yahuwah, then you are absolutely in error. Now, this is not uncommon today among local congregations and religious institutions. There are many secular artists. There are many people that are doing things that we know that are not in line with the commandments of Yahuwah, yet they still claim to be a child of the Most High. And there are many pastors and bishops and congregations and leaders that are supporting their behavior. One of these celebrities can visit any congregation on any given Sunday and shut the whole place down. They'll stop the whole service, put them in a particular seat, let their staff come in and fill up the pulpit, and then sometimes they even give them an opportunity to speak from the pulpit. Glory be to his name. Let's tell the truth today. So these things cannot be so. Why? Because, like I stated before in part one, to live a lifestyle that is practicing sin and full of iniquity, and then pray to a holy Father and think your prayer will get answered to him is like filling a balloon up with helium inside your house and letting it go. It just goes to the ceiling. You'll just have a bunch of them sitting on the ceiling, but nothing will get up to heaven. Glory be to his name. So I want to start out this broadcast in the book of Isaiah in chapter 1 and verse 15. Now, Isaiah was a prophet, and he spoke the words of Yahuwah to the southern kingdom of Judah. And these words actually went out because these people, their so-called chosen people, had turned their back against the Holy Father. So listen to what he says here in chapter 1 of Isaiah and verse 15. He says, "And when ye spread forth your hands, I, that is Yahuwah, will hide mine eyes from you. Yes, when you make many prayers, I will not hear." Why? Your hands are full of blood. You see, the same thing that took place back then when Isaiah prophesied the word of Yahuwah to those people is the same thing that takes place today. You must have clean hands, you must be regenerated in spirit, and you must be called and chosen before the Father will hear your prayer. You must leave the lifestyle full of sin and iniquity and practicing those devil-like behaviors and turn to a holy Father in order for your prayers to get answered. Now, I know what a lot of people have said. Well, not a lot. I will say a few people contacted me sort of behind the scenes, not underneath the broadcast, but sort of emailed me and called me behind the scenes because they had a curious question. They want to know that if one is in sin and needs to be born again, then if the Father does not hear his prayer, then how can they be saved? So let me take a few minutes and answer that before I close today. First thing I want to say is this. Salvation is 100% the work of Elohim. Let me say that again. Salvation is 100% the work of the Father, Yahuwah. There's nothing you can do to create salvation. Okay, why? Because we are saved by undeserving favor, or that is grace, not by works, that any man should boast. Okay, this is the scriptures. All right, we are saved by grace. Why? That means he will have mercy on whom he will have mercy, and he will choose and call out of darkness who he sovereignly pleases. Now, because of that, you don't know who he's going to call or when he's going to call them. Some of you viewing this broadcast, when you were lost in sin, lost in darkness, walking in darkness, you may have not had any idea that you would be sitting here today serving a most high Father. Glory be to his name. Or maybe I'm just talking about me, but I know many others also. You have no idea that today you will be serving the Most High. But he had mercy, and he called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. And now you can walk and follow his commandments and be a child of the kingdom of the Most High. Okay? So how does this happen? How does this take place? Well, let's go over to the Gospel of John. Okay? Let's look at the Gospel of John. And I'm going to be reading from, let's go to chapter 6. Okay? And verse 44. Now let's read what this says. Chapter 6, verse 44. It says, "No man come to me except the Father which have sent me draw him." Let me say that part again. Listen, this is the words of Yahuwah. He says, "No man can come to me except the Father which have sent me draw him." Here's the rest. "And I will raise him up the last day." So here we see the Son, the Holy Son, saying, no man can come to me except the Father draw him. The Spirit, the Ruach, draw this person. You see, because you are born in sin. You are born dead in sin. And in order for you to come to the Father, you must be called out of darkness. All right, so keep that thought. Let's go over to John chapter 6, verse 63. John 6 and 63. I'm going to combine these two in a minute. Let's look at John 6 and 63. It says, "It is the Spirit that quickeneth," or that word would be make alive, okay? "The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life." Now, when we look at this, we see here is that the Ruach HaKadosh has to quicken the one that is lost in sin, the one that is repented with the correct spirit. He has quickened him. Now, once he is quickened, made alive, his ears are open. Then he can hear the voice of the Spirit of Yahuwah, and he can actually come forth and begin to follow the Most High. Now, if you think about the death of Lazarus, it is a perfect depiction of what this salvation is here. Okay? Lazarus was dead in the grave. He was dead. Okay? When Yahushua came to him, he called forth his name, Lazarus. At that time, he was quickened. His ears were open. And when his ears were open, he received the word. Yahushua said, "Lazarus," then he says, "come forth." And as he was quickened, made alive, he began to come forth. He followed the voice of Yahushua. He followed the voice of Yahuwah. Why? Because he was dead. And then he was quickened. His ears were open and he began to follow. Glory be to his name. See, this is a perfect depiction of how you and I once were. We were in the darkness, walking in darkness, lost in sin. And the Father had mercy. And he quickened us through the Spirit. His Spirit quickened us. Once we were made alive, our eyes were open. Our ears were open. And we began to hear his voice. And we were filled with the power of the Ruach HaKadosh. And that gave us the strength to walk and keep his commandments. Then Yahushua would hear the prayers. Then Yahuwah will hear the prayers. Then the Ruach will convey our prayers. Do you understand what I'm trying to say today? My friends, there's no escaping it. One must be chosen and called. Then one must begin to walk after the commandments of the Father, of the kingdom of Yahuwah. Once this takes place, you are a child of the kingdom. Listen, I didn't say a member of a church. I said the child of the kingdom. Then you begin to get answers to your prayers. If it be the Elohim's will, next week, I will be back with part 3. Until then, be empowered, my friend.